Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm not sure how we can confirm if anyone can hear me or not. I'm trying to see.
Maybe if they type in the chat, if they can hear us.
That would be helpful. I don't seem to have any way of getting any communication to know if anyone can hear me or not at home. Is anybody able to type anything? Oh, can hear from Anonymous. Fabulous. Thank you so much, anonymous person. In which case, on with the show. So welcome to this presentation about Further Maths A-Level. And Further Maths is positioned in a unique way, really, when it comes to A-Level choices. It's your only option to do 4 A-Levels because you can choose Maths plus A-Level Further Maths. It is delivered as a proper A-Level. It's treated as a separate subject and you get your 5 lessons a week, and it does not restrict your choice of other subjects. And it's important that you pop it on your list if you're thinking about it, because it will help them to get the option blocks correct for your subjects. Here are a few thoughts. So the first 2 there are from OCR themselves, which is the exam board. The bottom one is from me, and this is something that we know full well, that by studying Further Maths A-Level, you make your life easier in your normal A-Level maths studies, and you will find your A-Level maths exams relatively will feel easier, and the work you will get faster at doing the work because you're doing so much extra practice, which, if you think about it, is the same reason why we do Further Maths GCSE, because pushing you on that extra bit makes your normal GCSE feel more comfortable. And so that's one of the possible reasons that might influence your decision. Now, this is a very brief topic list, and you might want to go back and look at this at a later date and Google some of those things that are highlighted green. There are some illustrations in a moment on other slides of what's in the course and a little insight into some of those ideas. But I realized that a lot of that stuff won't mean much to you now, because until you learn about this stuff, they just look like random words, don't they? Okay, but there are 3 sort of main units of the course, which is the core, the pure, and then the additional pure and the mechanics, which has got elements of similarity to A-Level maths and physics, but you're able to access a more sophisticated model for things like motion and energy and collisions and things like that. Okay, so how's it structured in school? Well, it's like any other A-Level. You have 5 lessons per week, and your lessons will be shared between 2 teachers. There's no guarantee who the 2 teachers might be. Currently, Dr. Barker and myself are teaching the A-Level Further Maths course. Mr. Lewis also teaches A-Level Maths, and it's quite possible that someone else might, or that we might have a new member of staff who wants to. So you can't really predict who's going to be teaching. And the details of the exams there, which you don't really need to worry about yet. There's no coursework, which is great, because some people get really bogged down in year 13 if they've chosen 2 or 3 subjects which all have coursework. And the other thing is that the lessons happen in one of the subject option blocks. That means your elective block is still free if you wish to choose any electives from the programme, but you don't have to. You get a special further maths exemption, so that if you don't want to sign up for electives because of your workload, that is also fine. A very brief glimpse into a couple of the things that we try to relate to that you can study in the further pure topic. Matrices there is something that you will have done or will do already in GCSE further maths. And we do a little bit of work with multiplying matrices in further maths GCSE. But in A-level further maths, we go a bit deeper into what effect do these matrices have if you use them to multiply coordinates in the plane, and you can turn that unit square there into a sort of parallelogram, and you can do other exciting things with matrices. Complex numbers are very exciting, based on the square root of -1, which when it was first sort of thought about mathematically a few hundred years ago, the mathematicians were very proud of themselves because they discovered this imaginary thing that could never have any possible relationship to the real world, but it turns out is fundamental to a lot of stuff that is now core physics, with circular motion and all sorts of things in physics that actually rely on using this imaginary number. So that's very exciting. I won't dwell on this one for long. This isn't my area of expertise as such, but the further mechanics is everything to do with things moving, tension, forces, and in A-level further mechanics you see there that you get more a more detailed view of things, so energy, impulse, and things like that, variable force, which does cross over to some extent with A-level physics as well. And then further additional pure, this is where we get into some really exciting stuff. The best example I can give you for number theory, if you look at the clock there, I think if you walk into a room and the clock is displaying 18:28, as mine is right now, we all naturally do something and say, oh, that's 6:28. So we sort of know in our mind that 18 is equal to 6 if we're counting up to 12, if we're in what we call base 12. So number theory explores this idea of, well, what other numbers might be equal to 6? So for example, 30 is also equal to 6 if we are counting on a clock base 12. And there's a picture of a circle with a triangle there, and there's a table underneath which describes the various transformations you can do to that diagram, rotations and reflections, with lots of exciting notation on there, which I'll leave you to ponder. So this is the slide that says that, generally speaking, all of our students do very well if they take further maths A level. We have a very high level of success there with A star to B. Currently, we have 8 students in year 13, 6 students in year 12. Like every A-level subject in the school, the class size varies from year to year. So don't worry about it. Just choose for yourself the subjects you want to do, and don't worry about how many may or may not be in your class, because you can't control it and it won't matter anyway. This one is because some of our students who do further maths A level go on to apply at universities where there's an extra level of entry requirement, so Oxford, Cambridge, some of the other universities around the world that set their own special entrance tests or admission tests. And by doing further maths, you are helping yourself really to prepare for that sort of challenge. There's a question there that is about the alternating sum of square numbers. So you see that every other term is plus or minus. And if anybody wants to take a little photo of that with their phone and have a little think about that question, you might have a little play with that tonight. I'm very happy for you to email me and we can have a chat about that, because that's quite an exciting There's different ways you can try and divide up the pluses and the minuses or pairs of terms. We can't dwell on that for long. I thought this one was quite an interesting slide. If you look really carefully, you can even see footballer. Unfortunately, my dream of being a footballer, having studied further maths, didn't come true. But for you, who knows? Any of those jobs are possible. Now, here are some things that we found on university admissions information. And really the point here is that further maths is no longer viewed as some sort of strange niche subject that only a very small group of people can do. Further maths is taught much more widely now across the UK. It's treated really as a genuine A-level in its own right. And so this is the University of Bath for their economics degree. And the really interesting thing, I think there on the bottom point, is that for those people applying to do economics, the top 5 subjects taken were further maths, physics, history, chemistry, geography. So this is a subject that lots of people are doing, and universities recognise it as a very useful A-level. I think many years ago it was seen as sort of a thing for sort of maths geeks only, and that's not really the way things are anymore. And there's another example there of Leeds University, and you see there that the offer, your A-level offer, will be reduced in some cases if further maths is one of your A-levels, which is a useful thing to know, useful thing to see. And there's a couple more which are sort of making the same point there. So these may not be exactly the same wording in these places next year. And so if you already have any ideas about courses you might want to study or universities you might like to go to, even though it's early, then it's worth having a look on there. And in many cases, having a further maths A-level will be a benefit in terms of your application and your entry requirements. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I don't go too fast or too slow. Okay, this was my slide that I thought about. Why should I bother? As in, why should you bother? And here are my thoughts. So I'll let you read them. And the point about the teachers who love teaching this stuff, it's really true. I mean, we love doing this stuff because it's great fun, it's great maths, and it's very rewarding for us to work with, you know, again, that group, generally fairly small class of really motivated students, and we really enjoy discussing all this stuff together. So, you know, people who do further maths will say they really enjoy their further maths lessons. And here's a problem. And this is a problem about perception, which I think summarises how often people are a bit worried or a bit hesitant about choosing further maths, because again, there's this perception that maybe further maths is only for those 1 or 2 people, or it's only for people who are sort of exceptionally gifted at maths or something like that. And that's not really true. And here are a few reasons I think why. Which are related to this idea of is it for me? Is it too difficult for me? So, like every other A-level, the course is designed to be accessible to people who've passed their GCSEs. Anybody who's passed GCSE maths is able to access everything that's required for further maths. And people at JCG who've done GCSE further maths as well are in an even stronger position. That really bridges the gap. We as a staff, not just the people teaching the class, but as a department, as a maths department, are all really happy when we get the opportunity to work with sixth formers who might be struggling with a particular problem or a particular question, because these questions are fun for us to get involved with and try and help. And it's definitely more fun than wasting our lunch times dealing with naughty year 10 or any other year group, which we also have to do some of the time. And if you really find after a while that it's a bit too much for you, well, you haven't lost anything by giving it a go. And that is the end of the slides. So now I think if I go back to this screen and I open the Q&A, I've got, oh, before I do this, I think I'm going to pass over to one of our further maths students, Amelie, who may want to just say a couple of things that either I forgot or that she had on her mind. Amelie, I think, are you now live, Amelie, or am I still live? Let's try and see if that's Amelie live. Amelie, if you say something, can we hear you?
Hello.
Anybody who's typing, can you hear Amelie talking? I think you might be able to see me, which is unfortunate, but I'm not sure I've done that right. Just right now, I've got.
Just see what.
Why don't you, while I just answer this one question here?
Okay. Basically, so I take maths, further maths, chemistry and economics A level. And regarding the step up it is from normal A level maths, I'd say it's definitely a big step up, mainly because the style of the content is very different to anything you do at GCSE. Although it is a lot harder, it is a lot more interesting and satisfying, especially when you finally understand the concepts. I think if you like maths and are willing to work hard at it, you'll definitely be capable of managing the jump. And also another concern that some people might have is the workload of doing 4 A levels. And obviously you will have more work to do than people doing 3 A levels. However, studying the harder content in further maths makes A level maths feel a lot easier, so it doesn't feel like double the work. Also, you don't know any different studying for A levels, meaning you don't have anything really to compare it to. Another thing, further maths definitely does take up the most time. However, if you enjoy maths, you'll naturally want to put in the extra work and spend more time doing it. And personally, I've really enjoyed further maths so far this year, and it's definitely my favourite subject, and I look forward to going to all the lessons. So if you do enjoy maths, I think definitely give it a try. Yeah, if you have any more questions, just pop them in the chat.
Thank you very much, Amelie. And obviously, I don't know who the people are who are in the meeting. I don't know how many people are in the meeting, but I assume that you're, you know that you can go and speak to either your own year 11 maths teacher, or you could come and talk to me or Dr. Barker or Mr. Lewis. As I say, we're the ones who've got kind of the experience at the moment of the course. If you've got any questions, very happy for parents to email. I've got one here. Is it the hardest A level? Well, I think really that depends on you, because whether something's hard or not, it depends on an individual. I mean, for me personally, it wasn't the hardest A level I did, because my brain is suited to doing maths. And thankfully I didn't have to choose art A level, or else I probably still would still be resitting in school now. I don't think I could have even passed art GCSE. Whereas other people would find that an essay subject suits them better. I think that question about is it the hardest A level, it goes back to that perception, which is maybe a perception problem, that it's all A levels should be the same in a sense. They're all designed, they're all on an equal footing. It's designed to stretch your understanding in a certain area, which yes, some people would find really hard, but it shouldn't be. If you're going to get a 8 or a 9 in GCSE maths, then further maths wouldn't be the hardest A level for you to choose. So I hope that answers that question. And I think we're up to our 20 minutes, which I think is the allocated time. I think there might be another one starting on another subject that you might all be desperate to go and get to. If there are no new questions in the next 60 seconds or so, I will call this a day. The session will be recorded and it will be available to download.
Oh, Mr. Abraham, there's another question.
There's another question.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, that would be good, Emily, because you probably know that better than me.
Essentially, in school, you have 4 3 periods because you have them in the elective blocks. So if we have we have 5 elective blocks in the week. There's one compulsory elective which everyone has to go to in a Wednesday period for, and the other 4, if you do further maths, there'll be your 3 periods, or you can still choose to do electives in those, but you will you'll have less 3 periods. So I don't personally do any electives, but someone in my class does finance still, EPQ, sport and archery, and etc. And in year 12, everyone else will get 5 free periods, so you're only in year 12 missing out on 1 extra free period, which isn't too bad. And
you know, as I've been a sixth form tutor as well, and I can tell you honestly, you know, there is more to life than going to McDonald's for half of your week. There are 168 hours every week. You need to spend some of them sleeping and eating, but really a lot of the other hours should be dedicated to your A-level studies and doing 20 hours a week of lessons, which is what happens if you do your 4 A-levels. That still does leave you plenty of time for other things. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Or I certainly would, as I say, give it a try. And if you find that because of your workload in other subjects or whatever, some people have lots of commitments outside school as well. If you find it's too much, then, you know, bad luck, and you can drop.
I would definitely say that it is manageable, because I think some of the people in my class, including myself, are very busy out of school in general and are managing to keep up with it. So I wouldn't say that it's completely unrealistic doing 4. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say the same thing again. Do unis like it? Do unis like it? Well, I think I tried to cover that in the slides, and of course you can go back and check those again. I think increasingly, yes. When I was at school and I was applying for courses, I was further maths didn't feel like a big advantage, because there was a perception that it was very niche and it was only taught in a very small number of schools, and it was almost a sign that you were coming from a kind of a privileged school or a boarding school. And there were universities that said, well, we don't count further maths as one of your A-levels. However, that's completely changed now. There are actually sixth form colleges in the UK. There are state sixth form colleges in the UK which teach maths, further maths, physics, chemistry and biology as their entire syllabus. So people who are sort of math sciencey students will go there and study those subjects. So the answer is yes, unis do like it increasingly, and you will find that your grade offer is often reduced because they know that you've studied further maths. Obviously, you'd have to check the individual uni and the individual course. I can't promise you that every single uni will reduce your offer, but yes, generally they do. Okay. Well, I think that looks like the end of the road for the questions. Thank you for those questions. And again, if we haven't covered anything that you'd like to know, please feel free to contact any of us by any of the available methods. And I'm going to call it a night there. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that was useful.